I just completed my first Scrabble tournament of 2025, and I had a fantastic time. I scored the highest points per game of any player, I gained a bunch of rating points and improved my North American ranking, and my bingo finding and board vision were rock solid. The only issue, despite all that good stuff, I once again somehow didn't win the tournament. Still, as a first step on my road to the World Championship, I'm very happy with my overall performance in a tough field. In this video, I'm going to take you through some of the highlights and lowlights and see what I need to work on as I prepare for Ghana in November. There was nowhere to hide in this tournament, with former champions all over the place. I was paired up against 4 of them in my first 4 games, and after 3 straight wins, I faced Scrabble legend Sammy Okasaga. Early on, Sammy struggles through difficult racks while I land Gendarme and Fix until he plays Entitles for 70 in the mid game. This is just what he needs at a deficit, opening multiple dangerous areas of the board that I'll have to deal with. Thankfully, I have a great response in Pabular for 93. I just need Sammy not to have a triple triple. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he does have. Gallizes for 140, somehow giving him the lead in a game I've completely dominated. I'm glad I'm able to stay calm in what could have been a tilting situation. Later, with both the J and Z unseen, Sammy can draw both and 1-2 punch me with them to steal this game. Instead, I draw the J just in time and make my best pre-endgame move of Krogic for 48 to secure victory. After finally losing my first game in round 7, I'm facing Judy Cole in round 8. I have the obscure but high probability bingo of Moi Nose here for 62, which I spotted relatively fast. This move opens up multiple nice triple word scores back to Judy and places the useful S out in space, which Judy can easily use to play 8-letter bingos. Pause the video here if you want to search for an even better play that avoids many of these problems. The play I made here is one of my favorites from the tournament. Unanimous from the UN already on the board, which makes it harder both to access the triple and to use the S. With the board in a much easier state to defend, I ended up winning this one by a wide margin. My next game with Io Adeyeri is a defensive battle, and I'm facing several threats with just 5 tiles in the bag, holding a narrow lead. Io could have bingos on row 3, but I'll struggle to block them while also scoring well. In many of these cases, he'll draw an unplayable Q afterwards, and I'll win the game anyway. He could also have QU plays scoring 45 points, or he could have high-scoring 6-letter plays on the right, especially if he has the Y. Octet for 24 blocks the 7s and the middle triple, but it also opens new bingo space for Io. So, what to do? I settled on Eco instead, trying to score enough points to withstand many of these threats. Eco has one other key attribute. It keeps IT for next turn. You'll see why this is important in a moment. Io plays Quant for 45, and with several outplays and high scores available for Io in the endgame, I'm in serious trouble. Fortunately for me, I draw the Y from the bag after Eco, and because I kept IT, I'm now able to play my only winning move, Mortality for 45 points, scoring enough to outrun any of Io's options. Seeing this possibility a turn in advance was the key for me here. After he plays Ed for 34, I go out with Rice to finish off a hard-fought win. After dropping my second game of the tournament in round 10, it seems I'm headed to a third loss in round 11 against Erickson Smith, but I draw both blanks late and get down the fun overlap of Punies for 95. Erickson has a clunky rack with both U's and plays Augur for 23, but I'm in a tough spot myself, holding an excess of vowels. The logical move here is Blame for 36, scoring as much as I can, heading into what's likely to be a close endgame. I am aware that this move runs the risk of Erickson having Coverlet or Corvette for a massive game-ending bingo, but I figure I have to take the risk and take as big of a score as I can. My heart sinks when I draw the final 2 tiles from the bag and discover the O and T, giving Ericsson the winning bingo of coverlet for 102. However, I could have prevented this with some creative thinking. Instead of blame, playing blam instead creates a much more difficult situation for Ericsson. Yes, this would keep 4 vowels instead of 3 heading into the endgame, which is counterintuitive. But in this particular case, with the O and T that was in the bag, Ericsson can't do better than a tie. First by playing Vector, and then by going out with Mill for 10 after my top move of Oat. If OL is in the bag, playing Blam is the difference between a win and a loss, preventing Corvette and giving me Olia to outrun his best plays. Blame wins a lot of games when Ericsson can't bingo, but it wasn't my best choice here. I was frustrated after this game since I played Blame with several minutes remaining, thinking I would need that time for endgame calculations. I could have used that time to think deeper about these worst case scenarios. Thankfully, I was able to quickly put this game in the rearview mirror, winning my next 5 rounds after that, setting up a rematch with my good buddy Josh Sokol. Our round 17 game was one of the most insane games I've played in a while and really deserves its own video. I'm tempted to do one of those, if this video gets 2,000 likes, I'll make that video for you, but who am I kidding? I'm going to make it anyway, regardless of what you do. Spoiler alert, I wound up beating Josh in that game, putting me in the lead and essentially needing just one more win to clinch. In round 18 against Dennis Ikekeregor, I avoided major missteps until the very end. Here, with just 2 tiles in the bag, I'm down by 42, and without much time left on my clock, I assume I need to bingo to win. So I play OR for just 2 points, hoping to either draw a 7-letter bingo playing down column M, or Sugarier to the R of Talar, the only 8-letter bingo in that spot available. However, unless Dennis has to worry about threats in both of the 2 spots, he'll be able to pick the more dangerous one of the 2 to block. I have a much better idea here that wins by far the highest percentage of games. Fixture for 19 points. What this move does is to set up 2 spots for heavy 6-letter outplays, hooking the S on totally separate parts of the board. Essentially, any plural 5 that I draw will win me this game. It turns out that the tiles in the bag weren't the right ones to win in this situation, but to really be a threat to win the World Championship, I need to reliably find plays like Fixture here. I had one final chance against Bradley Whitmarsh in round 19, but I made my biggest unforced error of the tournament in a key spot. With the Q on my rack in this early game position, I simply did not see by far my best move of Niqab for 18 here and exchanged tiles instead. This might not seem like a horrible mistake, but I ended up drawing the Q a second time, after which I correctly exchanged it and then drew it a third time after that. I could have averted this by making the right play with it the first time around. I wouldn't say I made any other major missteps in this game, but sometimes one is all it takes, and Bradley wound up winning the tournament with a very impressive 15-4 record. So, there you have it. Overall, my game is definitely in a good state. My bingo finding and board vision were in strong form, and I was playing with much better pace than I was in 2024. I need to focus on making more accurate late game decisions, especially in the pre-end game with only a handful of tiles remaining in the bag. These are typically the most complicated decisions in a Scrabble game, so it isn't reasonable to expect nailing each and every one, but with even better time management, I'll improve my chances of finding plays like Blam and Fixture. Another thing I can improve is my physical stamina. I need to increase my chances of playing my best late in tournaments, and physical conditioning is a big part of that. Time to hit the gym. As I mentioned, I'll be doing a separate breakdown of my wild round 17 game with 2023 North American champion Josh Sokol. You won't want to miss that, so consider subscribing to my channel to be notified when it's ready. Hope you enjoyed this tournament recap. It's the first video I've done in this format, so drop a comment with any feedback or suggestions and I'll be sure to read it. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.